Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Thursday, October 1st. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. The coronavirus is hitting close to home tonight for several members of the San Diego City Council. At least 4 of them have been forced to quarantine after coming into contact with an employee who tested positive for the virus. More now from KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman.
I don't have any symptoms, first and foremost.
District 6 City Council member Chris Cate was inside the council chambers on Tuesday.
What value do we get from that? Mr. IBA, it's $5 million.
A City of San Diego spokesperson says someone else who was in that room has now tested positive for COVID-19.
I was advised by my doctor to wait a few days before I get tested.
City officials say they've told every person who came in close contact with the positive individual to quarantine for 2 weeks. That includes Councilmember Cate, who has a wife and 2 children.
I'm away from my wife and my kids. If I do go out and about, to get food or whatever else, I'm masked up inside my house as well too, just to be cautious.
City Council President Georgette Gomez released a statement today saying officials are in the process of evaluating how to safely move forward with city business. There is a City Council meeting scheduled for next week, and some have already been participating virtually.
I don't think the city business needs to be impacted negatively by it. I'm chairing a committee on Wednesday. We cancel on Tuesday. I'm chairing a committee on Wednesday afternoon for economic development, and we're planning on moving forward. I can call in virtually.
There are coronavirus protocols in place for City of San Diego employees, like checking temperatures before entering buildings, physical distancing, and wearing face coverings. When asked if the person who tested positive did a temperature screening before Tuesday's council meeting, a city spokesperson said that if your temperature is high, you're not allowed in the building. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
San Diego County now has 4 new COVID-19 testing sites specifically for teachers and school personnel. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayers says the sites will not require any appointment.
The 4 new testing sites will be located in San Diego, Chula Vista, Del Mar, and El Cajon. The new locations were set up in partnership with the San Diego County Office of Education, but are not intended for the general public.
As you start to reopen schools, the metric that they have determined is all school employees need to get tested, 50% of them each month, 100% every 2 months. That's the metric that's been determined by state health, and that's what we're accommodating based on these structures.
The San Diego and Chula Vista sites open their doors today, while the other 2 sites will start in the coming days. The first person to get a COVID-19 test at the San Diego location was Jerome Garule, a building services supervisor. He says the testing will help schools throughout the county reopen safely.
I think you should get tested so you'll know so you don't pass it on to other people. It's good to know. If I know, then I know I got to get away from other people.
While there are no state testing requirements for children, all school staff who interact with children must be tested every 2 months.
Assuming every school is open in the county, that means 40,000 employees would have to be tested each month. That's an extraordinary number.
Over the next 2 weeks, the number of COVID-19 testing sites in the county will increase from 29 to 41 locations. The additional testing centers come as county schools plan to return to in-person learning in the near future.
We have a task force here at the County Office of Education with County Health that's actually determining the start dates and really working on logistics to make sure that we have a seamless and fluid system.
San Diego is currently in the state's red tier for COVID-19 infection rates. If a school opens before any upward change in the county's COVID-19 infection rate, there will be no required school closure. The county is transitioning the majority of its COVID-19 testing sites to not require an appointment. To find a no appointment site near you or to make an appointment, visit 211sandiego.org or call 211. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
It was back to class today for thousands of students in the Poway Unified School District. The first group of elementary schools welcomed kids back with temperature checks, masks, and social distancing. Classrooms had plexiglass separators, and parents were asked to sign health check agreements.
It's a step. Right now, it's a big step for us. At least the kids are back to school right now. So it's a good thing.
We're very excited. We love our school, and we're so excited for him to go back.
The new K-5 hybrid program allows for in-person and digital learning. Kids in class for a maximum of 2.5 hours a day. Parents can also choose to keep children home full-time as well. As we begin October, new numbers show the U.S. made no progress last month, lowering the number of new COVID cases each day. Here in San Diego County, 9 more deaths and 305 new cases were reported today. According to Johns Hopkins University, the daily average of more than 42,000 new cases is about the same as it was September 1st. 27 states are now showing upward trends. Emily Schmidt reports on the progress and problems of another month in the pandemic.
For the first time since March, 500,000 New York City public school students are learning in person in school while living through a pandemic.
We have fought back this pandemic so well for so long.
Reopening schools, reopening indoor dining in San Francisco, where restaurants can now operate at 25% capacity.
I hope 25 goes to 50, 50 goes to 100.
Yet with steps forward are steps back. The CDC extended a no-sail order for cruise ships in the U.S. through October. Airlines are laying off thousands of people as emergency pandemic funding from Congress runs out.
At the time we got the first CARES Act, we all thought we'd hopefully be in a better position relative to the virus than we are today. We're not.
Thursday, Wisconsin reported their highest death count in hospitalization since the pandemic began, just as President Trump plans to campaign in the state this weekend.
Under normal circumstances, a presidential visit for a community like La Crosse would be an awesome thing and be welcome. But the situation that we're in, of course, with the coronavirus really causes us to try to protect the community's health and safety.
As the search for a COVID-19 vaccine continues, U.S. health officials urge Americans to get flu vaccines. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he got his flu vaccination this week, adding he's glad he did it. Emily Schmidt, KPBS News.
The effort to transform the old Naval War Facility in the Midway District has taken a major step forward. Governor Newsom signed legislation to streamline the environmental review process for the project. KPBS reporter John Carroll says it could mean thousands of jobs for San Diego.
Jobs, jobs, jobs was the message at Thursday morning's news conference. Jobs that are dependent on the revitalization of the old Naval War Facility. It's hard to miss driving by on Pacific Highway, more than 70 acres containing a series of decades-old aircraft hangars housing about 5,000 workers. AB 2731, co-authored by Gloria and State Senator Tony Atkins of San Diego, allows SANDAG to streamline the environmental review process for the project.
In order to build a new cybersecurity facility for the Navy, a new central mobility hub linking various transit lines to the San Diego airport, as well as needed housing units and retail space.
These artist renderings may or may not be what the project ends up looking like, but the jobs that are wrapped up in whatever the finished product looks like are critical, keeping those 5,000 jobs here. Plus, Gloria says the project has the potential to generate at least 16,000 new jobs, critical because of what the pandemic has done to our economy. The project would also provide housing for 27,000 people right next to mass transit. But what about streamlining environmental review? Gloria says it does not mean anything goes.
AB 2731 requires that any transit hub constructed on this site to still meet the high environmental benchmarks, such as obtaining LEED Gold certification, reducing vehicle miles traveled by 25%, and that the project be greenhouse gas neutral.
AB 2731 takes effect on January 1st of next year. It will allow SANDAG to use the Navy's environmental review document instead of having to go through the usual California Environmental Quality Act process. The Navy is expected to have their environmental document complete by early next year. After that, if they decide to move forward with SANDAG, the project could begin construction sometime next year, transforming a place that once turned out fighter planes in World War II into a world-class transit and cybersecurity facility. John Carroll, KPBS News.
A judge has approved an $800 million class action settlement in the Las Vegas mass shooting. Today marks 3 years since 58 people were killed and more than 850 people injured in the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. The shooter fired onto a crowd of concertgoers from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino before killing himself. Among the victims was Chelsea Romo, a single mom from Temecula who lost one eye and suffered severe head injuries.
My kids will tell me, please don't leave, don't go to the store, don't go out, Mom, I don't want you to get shot. And when your 5-year-old tells you that, and they're afraid for you to walk out of the room because they're afraid to lose you, it has not been easy. It has not been easy.
Romo adds that the settlement, which comes months after negotiations between victims and MGM Resort International, offers a little closure and chance to get the medical care she needs. A pair of retired judges will independently determine the exact amounts for each victim. After insults and interruptions dominated the matchup between President Donald Trump and Joe Biden, the group in charge of the debates is vowing change. But as Camila Bernal reports, the president says he likes the rules the way they are.
In the aftermath of the first presidential debate, President Trump is declaring victory.
The verdict is in, and they say that we, all of us, one big...
Joe Biden's campaign is raking in the cash, raising more than $21 million Wednesday. That's the best fundraising day for Biden's presidential campaign.
I felt good about what's happened the last couple days.
But after the debate devolved into chaos...
Is absolutely not true.
You're going to have...
True.
Gentlemen, I hate to raise my voice, but it seems to be, why shouldn't I be different than the two of you?
The Commission on Presidential Debates says it will change the format for the future. As members weigh options, a source says everything is on the table, including the potential to mute microphones. The White House refuses to blindly accept new terms.
He thinks the only way there's a fair debate is change in the moderator and a change in the Democrat nominee.
While the president predicts Biden will not want to meet again.
You know, Biden lost badly when his supporters are saying he should cancel the rest of the debates. Now I understand he's canceling the debates. Let's see what happens.
Biden's campaign says he has no intention of canceling. A Biden-Trump matchup is expected in Miami, but only if both campaigns agree on changes. President Trump tweeting, "Why would I allow the debate commission to change the rules for the second and third debates when I easily won last time?" At the White House, I'm Camila Bernal.
And a reminder, mail-in ballots go out to registered San Diego County voters on Monday. That's when our voter guide will go live on kpbs.org. Today, the registrar of voters reported 1.9 million people are registered in our county. That's up 13% from 2016 general election. Turnout is estimated at 79.5%. Proposition 16 is asking California voters to allow affirmative action to return to public institutions and government work. California eliminated the policy in 1996. KPBS reporter Shalina Chatlani says supporters of Prop 16 say it would help balance the scales, but some critics say it could hurt.
The setting is 1950s Arkansas with a budding civil rights movement.
I was a baby when we came to California. I was 3 years old. But we visited regularly, Arkansas. And we came to California in two ways. My dad came first, but my dad had to come because they were going to kill him. He was going to be lynched.
Assemblywoman Shirley Weber's family moved from Hope, Arkansas to Los Angeles. They had to. Her father, a sharecropper, had a target on his back.
My father had stood up to the individuals at the mill because they were trying to cheat him.
Here on the San Diego State University campus, Weber recalls how she escaped persecution and eventually helped start SDSU's Africana Studies department. She was driven by her desire to work hard and fight like her father, but she had help.
I went to grad school because I was a black student. They took my race and gender into consideration because they felt they needed more folks of my color in grad school and in universities teaching.
Weber says when California banned affirmative action in 1996, poor underserved minorities were left behind because state institutions could not develop programs specifically for them.
And everybody tells us we had to need teachers who look more like our students, yet we can't develop a teacher training and a program of recruitment for new teachers based on race. That we can't say we need to get more black teachers, more Latino teachers. We can't do that, yet you tell me to improve my schools, and the improvement of my schools is contingent upon getting teachers who understand the kids. So this Prop 16 is critical.
Proposition 16 asks voters to strike the non-discrimination language in the state's constitution, but critics say that won't help with inequality.
After the civil rights movement, affirmative action was seen as the next step to reverse centuries of racial discrimination. But California decided to remain neutral. It passed Proposition 209, which said public institutions like San Diego State University could not offer preferential treatment based on race, national origin, sex, or ethnicity.
You can't give preferential treatment to one group without discriminating against another group.
Gail Harriet is a professor of law at the University of San Diego. She says she's one of the lead donors to the No on Prop 16 campaign. We met at her home in Kensington. The Yes on Prop 16 campaign argues recent protests against police brutality reflect how law enforcement treats black and brown people differently from white people. But Harriet says you can't solve discrimination with discrimination.
Just go cold turkey. You're not going to fix things by saying, well, we used to discriminate this way, now let's discriminate that way.
And she says underserved communities have done better. It's true, the UC California system has seen an increase in students of color. Since 1999, the percentage of Latinos has doubled, and the black population has gone up by just under 1 percentage point. She says it's not helpful when students are admitted into schools they aren't prepared to compete at.
It's a good thing when students attend colleges where their academic credentials put them in the ballpark with the rest of students.
But there are still disparities. While Latinos and blacks make up around 46% of California's population, they're only a third of the undergrad UC California system. Autumn Arnett says that's because with or without affirmative action, we live in a racist society.
We know that across industries, whether education or employment, that white women have been the greatest beneficiaries of affirmative action.
Education equity researcher Arnett points to one 1995 California Senate committee study found that after decades of affirmative action, it was white women who ended up gaining most managerial jobs, not the people of color who were supposed to be elevated.
We know that Black and brown people have still not been able to see their levels of representation increase proportionate to their population numbers.
Arnett says it's one thing to create a policy to give people of color more opportunities, but once they get to the school or get to the job, they have to be given the support to succeed. So with affirmative action,
the benefits, I think, are that people are absolutely getting more opportunities, right? Like you absolutely can't say whites only college, right? The detractors, though, are that maybe we didn't help the people that we set out to help as much as we needed to.
Arnett says real progress can only happen when everyone commits to leveling the playing field together.
Supporters of Prop 16 say affirmative action is a start to leveling the playing field. But opponents say that work has already happened. Shalina Chatlani, KPBS News.
California is the first state in the country to adopt a law to develop proposals for reparations for African Americans impacted by slavery. The bill's author, San Diego Assemblywoman Shirley Weber, says while California wasn't a slave state, it allowed slavery and later instituted racist laws like redlining and segregating schools.
Slavery had its impact across the nation and in all of our laws. And so it'll be interesting because if California can do this study and realize that there was an impact as far away from the East Coast to the West Coast, you can only imagine also the impact that it had in those areas where there were where there was slavery. We see this as a unique opportunity to help the rest of the nation begin to grapple with the issue of racism and slavery and the impact that it still has on the academic and educational achievement of African Americans, and begin to talk about repairing that.
The task force will study what kind of reparations may be appropriate for the state to offer to descendants of enslaved people and those who have suffered the effects of slavery. The recommendations will be in a report which will need approval from the state legislature and the governor. And Governor Gavin Newsom vetoed a bill that would have made ethnic studies a California high school graduation requirement, citing controversy over the model curriculum. Assemblyman Jose Medina, a fellow Democrat, criticized the veto of his bill as, quote, a failure to push back against the racial rhetoric and bullying of Donald Trump. Newsom said he supports the ethnic studies concept, but cited ongoing discussions and revisions on what should be included in the classes. Mayor Kevin Faulconer announced today a dozen San Diego public libraries would reopen for in-person services the first time since mid-March. Starting on Saturday, the libraries will open at 25%. They will be open from 9:30 to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The facilities will close for cleaning from 1 to 2 p.m. daily. California's power grid operator is calling on everyone to conserve electricity as a heat wave sweeps through the state. A flex alert was issued from 3 this afternoon until 10 o'clock tonight. They are expecting an increase in electricity demand, primarily from use of air conditioning. And it looks like the heat is sticking around. Marvin Gomez has your forecast.
Hope you're having an amazing Thursday, and thanks for tuning in to KPBS. I'm AccuWeather's Marvin Gomez. As we go through the next couple of days, gradual cooling will start across mainly the coastal areas, and that's going to spread inland as we head into the weekend. With the return of the onshore flow, morning fog and low clouds will be near the coast, but still, even with that onshore flow, we're going to be talking about temperature highs still above average. Looking at our weather alerts, we're still talking about an excessive heat warning across some of the higher terrain in inland areas along the coast. The heat advisory continues, and that's going to continue as we go through the rest of our evening. Eventually for Friday, the area here in the darker orange, in the red color, that's going to become a heat advisory for tomorrow. Here's a quick look at San Diego County tonight. Ramona cooling down to 57 degrees. Borrego Springs still into the mid-70s. And here's a quick look at Friday. We're dealing with this area of high pressure. It's an upper high system that will continue to bring many areas across California those temperatures between 5 and 15 degrees above normal. We are staying dry. We are staying sunny. We really don't have much improvement or any sign of wet weather across California into the upcoming week. Here's a quick look at San Diego County for your Friday. Oceanside coming up to 86 degrees. Across downtown near 85, and looking at Mount Laguna, it's going to be near 82 out there. A quick look at the weekend. That area of high pressure will be drifting south, and we're going to be dealing with more of an onshore flow across most of the state, which is a good thing, as that's going to cool things a little bit across most of the state again. Now here's a quick look in the coast. 86 for your Friday. 83 for Saturday and Sunday. We are in the triple digits Friday in inland areas, and eventually we will be coming down into the low 90s for your Sunday. Across the mountains, 82 for Friday, mid-70s and low 70s into Monday. Sunny and warm for the next couple of days, and again, we're not seeing any sign of wet weather. The deserts, you're going to continue into the triple digits.
Happening now, it's do or die time for the Padres. The team will have to win tonight's game against St. Louis to stay alive in the postseason. The Friars lost to the Cardinals 7-4 in Game 1 of the National League Wild Card Series. They're playing Game 2 right now at Petco Park. Fans are cheering on the Padres from nearby restaurants and bars, and a drive-in watch party in the tailgate parking lot. San Diego State's fall football season is back on. Today, the Mountain West released its updated 2020 schedule of 8 games, plus a championship game between the two teams with the highest winning percentage. SDSU will open its season against UNLV on October 24th at its new temporary home in Carson. Their first away game will be on Halloween at Utah State. The Aztecs are coming off a 10-3 season in 2019. San Diego loyal players walked off the field in protest after a member of the opposing soccer team allegedly directed a homophobic slur at their teammate.
You can't claim that you are that you have these values if you don't act when it really matters. And we could have just turned the other cheek and let it go. But our guys didn't want to do that. They wanted to stand up for what was right, and they wanted to support their teammate.
They were beating the Phoenix Rising soccer team last night when they decided to walk off. Last week, San Diego Loyal said it would forfeit the point it received because of a racial slur used in its game against LA Galaxy 2. Today, Team USA women's soccer star Megan Rapinoe tweeted her support for the Loyal for standing up to racism and for homophobia.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, a political stalemate. Congress and the White House struggle to provide COVID economic relief. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, a look at the bills Governor Newsom has signed into law aimed at reforming police practices. And on Midday Edition, early voting is about to start here in San Diego County. What you need to know to cast your ballot safely. As always, you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.